Hey, warrior, listen closely. I watched my best friend destroy himself trying to be the good guy. He gave everything: time, money, forgiveness, second chances. He stayed up at 3 a.m. listening to people who wouldn't even remember his birthday. 3 years later, I saw him again. Same face, same voice, completely different presence. He wasn't soft anymore. He wasn't breakable. He was ruthless. And he told me one sentence that burned into my mind. The world didn't change. I did. I stopped being easy to break. That line haunted me because I knew he wasn't just talking about himself. He was talking about me, and he's talking about you. Right now, there are two versions of you walking through life. Version 1 is the one you know too well. You explain yourself, you over-apologize, you tolerate disrespect. You keep hoping that if you're patient enough, loyal enough, kind enough, people will finally change. You bend over backwards to be understood, respected, loved. But the more you give, the less they see your value. The more patient you are, the more they test you. The kinder you are, the more invisible you become. Then there's version 2, the silent version, the certain version, the one who doesn't argue, doesn't beg, doesn't chase. They don't slam doors or make speeches. They simply disappear from the tables where they are not respected. No announcement, no drama, no guilt. That version of you doesn't explain their worth. They let their absence do the talking. You have been living as version 1 for too long, and it's killing you. It has made you soft where you should be sharp, compassionate where you should be calculating. Machiavelli wrote, "It is better to be feared than loved, if you cannot be both." He wasn't glorifying cruelty. He was teaching survival. He was talking about control, about understanding that if people don't fear losing access to you, they will never truly respect you. Today, I'm going to walk you through how to awaken version 2, the ruthless version of you. Not heartless, not evil. Ruthless in the sense that you no longer allow the world to break you for sport. There are 8 inner shifts that separate the breakable you from the untouchable you. Each shift demands that you burn a piece of your old identity. Each one will feel like a kind of death. But if you stay with me, by the end of this, you will not recognize the person you used to be. You will stop begging others for peace and start generating it from within. You will stop living as someone people can toy with and start walking as someone people think twice before crossing, because this world will break you, unless you become ruthless. Before we go into the first shift, write this in the comments and carve it into your mind. I will not break again. Let's begin. Shift 1. Stop giving yourself to the ungrateful. Your biggest weakness was never that you care too much. Your weakness is where you place that care. You've been bleeding energy into people who treat your soul like a free vending machine. They take your time, your attention, your empathy, and walk away as if it cost them nothing. You kept helping, kept forgiving, kept explaining, kept hoping that maybe this time they'd finally see your worth. They never do. Why? Because in the psychology of power, what is given too freely is subconsciously despised. People instinctively devalue generosity when it comes without limits. They read your kindness as a need to be liked. And the moment someone senses that you need their approval, they own you. That's how weakness is born. Not from failing, from emotional dependence dressed up as being a good person. Machiavelli said, "Men are quicker to offend one who is loved than one who is feared." The ungrateful use your goodness precisely because there is no cost to abusing it. They know you'll stay. They know you'll forgive. They know that no matter how badly they treat you, you'll explain their behavior away with lines like, "They're just going through a lot. They didn't mean it. They'll change. That's not compassion, that's self-betrayal. Here's the brutal truth. People remember pain, not kindness. They respect consequences, not explanations. Every time you tolerated disrespect, you trained them to see you as disposable. Every time you over-explained your value, you admitted you weren't sure you had any. The world doesn't crush you because you're kind. It crushes you because you confuse being kind with being harmless. The ungrateful are predators with human faces. They don't hunt your body, they hunt your guilt. They twist your empathy into a knife and hand it to you so you can stab yourself with it. So hear this clearly. You don't owe anyone lifelong access just because you once cared. Your care is not a charity, it is a privilege. It belongs only to those who consistently show respect in their words, their actions, and their absence. Everyone else, they should feel the cut of your distance. Detachment is your defense. Indifference is your revenge. Machiavelli warned that men are ungrateful, fickle, false, cowardly, and covetous. He wasn't telling you to hate people. He was telling you to stop giving power to the ungrateful and then crying when they use it against you. Goodness without boundaries is a death sentence. Ruthlessness is not cruelty. Ruthlessness is correction. It's the moment you stop rewarding betrayal with more chances. You stop answering every call. You stop replying to every message. You stop justifying your silence to people who never justified their disrespect. When you do this, the ungrateful panic. They're not upset because they lost you. They're upset because they lost control over you. That's when power shifts. You become the one who decides who gets your time, your energy, your presence, and who fades into nothing. The world belongs to those who guard their energy like a weapon, not those who spill it like a wish. Every ounce of strength you waste on the wrong people is power stolen from your future. Withdraw it, hoard it, rebuild with it. Let them wonder why your warmth went cold. If they ask, the answer is simple. It froze the day I finally saw the truth. Some people deserve your distance far more than your devotion. If you're ready to accept that, write this in the comments. My kindness has limits. The shift chapter 2. Turn pain into power. Pain is life's most honest teacher. It doesn't flatter you. It doesn't care about your excuses. It doesn't let you hide behind nice words or false humility. Pain strips you down until only the truth remains. The difference between the weak and the powerful isn't how much they suffer. It's what they do with that suffering. Weak people drown in pain because they keep asking the wrong question. Why me? They still believe the world owes them fairness. They expect apologies from people who don't feel guilty and closure from people who never cared. But the ruthless, they ask a different question. What is this pain trying to teach me about control? Machiavelli once said, "Never waste the opportunity offered by a good crisis." Every betrayal, heartbreak, and failure is an invitation to evolve, to harden, to see the game for what it really is. Pain isn't punishment, it's information. It tells you where your weakness lives. It shows you who you trusted too easily. It reveals what illusions you built your peace on. When you start to see pain as a mirror, it stops being a wound and becomes a weapon. Most people cry to feel better. The strong reflect to get smarter. The average person uses pain as a story. The powerful use it as data. When they're betrayed, they don't spiral, they study. When they fail, they don't sulk, they strategize. When they lose, they don't pray for comfort, they prepare for dominance. That's the dark psychology of transformation, using pain as your forge. Every heartbreak becomes emotional discipline. Every disappointment becomes focus. Every rejection becomes redirection. This is what Machiavellian resilience really means. Using the cruelty of the world as fuel instead of letting it chain you. Because here's the truth. The world is not fair, and it's not supposed to be. Pain is the fire that burns away weakness. It tests your spirit. It exposes your dependencies. And it purifies you until you no longer need the validation that once kept you small. When life breaks you, it's showing you your limits and inviting you to surpass them. So stop running from the fire. Sit in it. Feel it. Let it carve strength into your bones. Because once you've survived your own pain, no one else can control you through fear. You'll walk through life differently. People will feel it, the calmness, the composure, the quiet danger in your energy. Because when you've already faced your own destruction and lived, manipulation loses its grip. Machiavelli believed that a wise man learns more from misfortune than from comfort. Pain activates awareness. It makes illusions collapse. It forces evolution. When you've suffered deeply, you start to see people for who they truly are, not for who you wish they'd be. You stop mistaking pity for love, noise for loyalty, and flattery for respect. The more you endure, the less reactive you become. You stop needing to win arguments because your silence says everything. You stop fearing loss because you've already lost and rebuilt before. That's when your presence changes. Your silence feels heavier. Your gaze becomes steadier. You carry yourself like someone who's already been to hell and refused to stay there. That's when people start to respect you, not because you talk tough, but because your energy tells them you've survived things that would have destroyed them. You no longer wear scars with shame. You wear them as armor. The strong aren't unscarred. They're unshaken. The next time life hurts you, don't curse it. Study it. Ask yourself, what advantage is hidden here? Because every moment of pain hides an opportunity for mastery if you're ruthless enough to use it. Drop this in the comments. My pain builds power. 3. Kill the need to be understood. The hunger to be understood is one of the most dangerous addictions in the world. You keep explaining yourself to friends, family, partners, even strangers online, hoping someone will finally say, I get you. But most people don't want to understand you. They want to define you. They listen not to comprehend, but to categorize, to find leverage, to spot your triggers. The more you explain, the more ammunition you hand them. In dark psychology, understanding equals control. When people know what drives you, they know how to drive you. That's why the ruthless stay mysterious. They don't over-explain. They don't justify. They don't defend. They let others assume, project, gossip. And in that fog of confusion, they remain untouchable. Machiavelli said, "He who wishes to be obeyed must know how to command. And to command, you must never over-explain, because explaining is a defensive act. It shows that you still need validation, and power that begs to be justified is already lost. The most intimidating people are the ones who don't explain their moves. They disappear without notice. They make choices without speeches, and they let silence build tension. That tension becomes respect. The weak beg to be understood. The strong choose to be misunderstood. When you stop defending yourself, something changes. You become unpredictable, and unpredictability is fear's closest twin. People can't control what they can't read. That's why leaders, rulers, and strategists across history mastered the art of ambiguity, saying less than they knew, doing more than they revealed. Every time you rush to explain your feelings, you hand people a map to manipulate you. Transparency can be beautiful in art, but in power, it's suicide. When people can dissect you, they stop respecting you. Machiavelli wrote, "The wise man does at once what the fool does finally. The wise stop justifying early. The fool keeps talking until he's exposed." You don't owe anyone clarity about your choices, your silence, or your standards. Let them think you've become cold. Let them call you arrogant or distant. Every label they throw at you becomes another layer of armor. The moment you stop needing to correct them, you regain control, because control lives in restraint. Silence is not weakness. It's weaponized composure. It makes people nervous because they can't predict your next move. Uncertainty is power. It keeps everyone cautious. Think about the most powerful people you've ever met. They weren't loud. They were composed. They didn't fight for attention. They commanded it. Not because they talked the most, but because every word they didn't say left the room on edge. You must become that kind of presence, a storm that doesn't announce itself. When someone provokes you, let your silence humiliate their ego. When someone misjudges you, let them stay confused. Your truth is your weapon. Don't waste it proving innocence. Those who truly value you don't need an explanation. Those who demand one will twist it against you. Power isn't about convincing. It's about being so self-assured that misunderstanding no longer disturbs you. When you stop needing to be understood, you finally begin to understand yourself. Write this in the comments. My silence speaks power. Act 4. Detach. Don't beg. Begging for love, attention, or closure is how powerful people lose their strength. Every time you chase what's already walking away, you shrink in the eyes of those who never intended to value you. Detachment isn't coldness, it's control. It's the art of walking away from anything that threatens your self-respect, no matter how much you wanted it. Most people confuse attachment with loyalty, but loyalty is strength. Attachment is dependence. You were taught that fighting for people proves love, but in the psychology of power, the one who chases always loses leverage. Begging, whether for attention or affection, sends one message. You need them more than they need you, and weakness invites exploitation. Machiavelli wrote, "The one who is not master of himself cannot be master of others." If your emotions control you, others will too. The ruthless detach not because they lack feeling, but because they refuse to be owned by it. When someone pulls away, they don't argue. They observe. When someone disrespects them, they don't plead. They vanish. Their silence becomes their weapon, and their absence becomes their message. In a world built on emotional manipulation, detachment is rebellion. It terrifies manipulators because it kills their fuel, your reaction. Once you stop reacting, you become unreadable. And once you're unreadable, you're untouchable. The secret weapon of the powerful isn't rage, it's indifference. Indifference burns colder than hate and lasts longer than love. When people can't predict your response, they fear losing access to you. That's when control shifts. Soon, the same people who once ignored you will feel your silence louder than your words. Because silence from someone who used to care is thunderous. Detachment gives you quiet authority, the ability to walk away with peace intact. Machiavelli believed control over emotion was the foundation of power. Those who cannot detach are ruled by those who can. He said men are driven by two forces, love or fear. If you master your attachment, you command both. Detachment isn't apathy, it's clarity. It means you care wisely, beginning with yourself. When you stop begging, you stop bleeding. And when you stop bleeding, no one can feed on you again. Withdraw quietly. Close doors without announcements. Let absence speak more than explanation. Detachment isn't punishment. It's self-respect. Write this in the comments. I choose peace over people. Shift 5. Boundaries are your armor. Boundaries are the invisible walls between power and chaos. Without them, you're not kind. You're vulnerable. You become an open gate for anyone to enter and take. You've been conditioned to think saying no is selfish, that limits are unkind. But the absence of boundaries is self-betrayal. Every time you tolerate disrespect, forgive without consequence, or let people cross lines to avoid conflict, you trade dignity for comfort. Weak people call it kindness. The ruthless call it what it is, weakness. Machiavelli said, "A prince who is not wise himself cannot be well advised." Meaning, if you can't protect yourself, no one will. The world doesn't honor openness. It exploits it. People always test limits, not out of evil, but instinct. Boundaries aren't walls. They're gates that protect what's sacred. They aren't cruelty, they're clarity. Clarity terrifies manipulators because it removes their leverage. In dark psychology, boundaries are weapons. The one who enforces them controls the dynamic. When you say no calmly, you project strength. When you end access after betrayal, you declare your worth non-negotiable. The powerful don't argue about respect. They demonstrate it through distance. Forgiveness without consequence is submission. Mercy without limits invites chaos. The fearful will call it arrogance. The weak will call it ego. The wise will recognize it as self-command. Machiavelli warned, "He who allows himself to be deceived is deserving of deception." You teach others how to treat you by what you allow. When you protect your space like a fortress, the noise fades and your peace returns. Then you see who respects your rules instead of resenting them. Boundaries attract quality and repel corruption. They make your presence feel earned, not available. The ruthless build walls not from fear, but from wisdom. Because the goal isn't to be liked, it's to be respected. Every boundary you set says, "This is where my peace begins." And those who value you will never ask you to lower your armor. They'll stand outside it with honor. Write this in the comments. My boundaries protect me. Shift 6. Master the art of silence. Silence is the weapon of those who truly hold power. The loud crave attention. The quiet already command it. Most people fear silence because it exposes them. They talk to fill the void, to prove they're confident, to hide their insecurity. But every unnecessary word becomes ammunition for someone else's manipulation. The ruthless understand that in a world addicted to noise, silence is dominance. Machiavelli said, "Never reveal all your thoughts, for it makes you predictable and vulnerable." Once people can read your emotions, they can control your reactions, and the one who can predict you owns you. Silence makes you unreadable. It builds mystery, and mystery builds respect. The quiet man in the room always has more power than the one who won't stop talking. Silence isn't emptiness, it's strategy. When you say nothing, you give others space to reveal everything. They'll expose their insecurities, motives, and lies while trying to fill your silence. The ruthless use this to their advantage. They listen more than they speak, observe more than they explain, and act more than they promise. The weak rush to defend themselves. The strong let others talk themselves into exposure. Every pause you hold increases your authority. Every moment you wait forces others to question themselves. Machiavelli knew that power thrives on perception. The less people know about your intentions, the more they fear them. Silence builds tension, and tension creates respect. People project their guilt and fear into your quietness. They start wondering what you're thinking, what you're planning. And that uncertainty gives you invisible control. You don't need to raise your voice to command a room. Your composure speaks louder than chaos. The loudest person rarely holds power. They're just desperate for it. The truly powerful don't shout, they watch. When someone insults you, stay silent. Let the weight of their words fall on them. When someone provokes you, respond with calm indifference. Nothing destroys arrogance like silence. Silence isn't withdrawal. It's the highest form of self-mastery. It shifts you from emotional to strategic. It makes people uncomfortable because they can't read you, and fear thrives on uncertainty. Remember this: the fool defends himself with words. The wise guard himself with quiet. The less you say, the harder it is to be manipulated. Power doesn't justify itself. It lets results speak. When you learn to hold your tongue, you learn to hold your power. Drop this in the comments. My silence controls chaos. Shift 7. Never show full loyalty. Loyalty is a double-edged sword. When it's selective, it's strength. When it's blind, it's suicide. Machiavelli warned that men are ungrateful, fickle, and deceitful. Expecting pure loyalty from others is an open invitation for betrayal. The world doesn't run on loyalty, it runs on strategy. When you give unconditional loyalty, people stop respecting you. They start seeing your devotion as weakness, not virtue. The loyal are predictable, and predictability is death in the game of power. Dark psychology teaches that loyalty must always serve a purpose: your protection, your growth, your advancement. Once it stops serving those, it becomes a liability. Most people stay loyal out of fear. Fear of being alone, fear of judgment, fear of losing approval. But those same fears make them expendable. The world replaces the overly loyal without hesitation. The powerful see loyalty as a tool, not an identity. They know alliances shift. They ride the wave instead of drowning in it. Your loyalty should be a mask, not your whole face. Wear it when it benefits you. Remove it when it endangers you. This isn't cruelty. It's realism. The world rewards thinkers, not feelers. Machiavelli wrote, "A wise man ought never to depend wholly on one person or one thing. Dependence kills autonomy, and autonomy is the foundation of dominance." Never reveal where your true allegiance lies. Let people believe you're loyal but remain free internally. The illusion of loyalty is often more powerful than loyalty itself. It keeps others comfortable while keeping you untouchable. This principle rules politics, business, and human psychology alike. Kings fall because they trust too deeply. Followers are discarded when their usefulness ends. Friends turn into rivals the moment equality is challenged. When you're too loyal, people stop fearing your withdrawal. Fear maintains respect. When others know you can walk away without hesitation, your loyalty becomes a privilege, not an expectation. Give loyalty like a sword, sharp, deliberate, and only when it cuts in your favor. Never give it like a gift. Gifts are forgotten. Weapons are remembered. This mindset makes you unpredictable, and unpredictability is the ultimate power. They can't manipulate what they can't define. The modern world calls this cold. The powerless call it heartless. But those same people bow to those who play the game better. Loyalty without strategy is self-betrayal. You owe nothing to anyone who wouldn't fight for your survival. Your allegiance must always belong to your purpose, not to people who come and go. Drop this in the comments. My loyalty is earned, never assumed. Shift 8. Become untouchable. Becoming untouchable is the final transformation, the point where no betrayal, insult, or loss can shake you. It's not about being heartless. It's about becoming sovereign, fully in command of yourself. The world will always test you. People will provoke, betray, and disappoint you. But the untouchable don't react, they respond. They move like shadows, calm and deliberate, impossible to control. Machiavelli wrote, "He who is wise will be master of himself, for he who is mastered by others is never free." That's the essence of this final shift. True freedom begins when you stop letting others dictate how you feel. To reach this state, you must stop chasing love, approval, and validation. These are illusions that make you dependent. The world doesn't reward purity, it rewards clarity, self-possession, and strength. When you stop needing others to define your worth, your energy becomes impenetrable. Manipulators can't touch it. Emotional leeches can't drain it. The untouchable build themselves with intention. They invest in discipline, composure, and mastery. They cultivate patience, not performance. Their confidence is quiet, their control absolute. People fear what they cannot read. And when you detach from reaction, you become a mystery. No one can predict your emotions or use them against you. You've removed every lever they once pulled. The untouchable act with logic, not emotion. Their anger is measured, their desire restrained. Every move they make serves a purpose. Every silence carries weight. They are the still center in a spinning world. While others lose their heads in chaos, the untouchable remain unmoved. And that calm becomes command. Machiavelli said, "It is better to be feared than loved, if you cannot be both." Fear, in this sense, means respect, the kind that makes people think twice before crossing you. Untouchability is not about power over others. It's power over yourself. It's when no one can manipulate you with guilt, flattery, or rejection. It's when you stop reacting and start deciding. You've outgrown the need to explain, to prove, to seek closure. You no longer chase peace. You are peace. At this stage, power becomes effortless. People sense it. They either respect it or fear it, but none can ignore it. You no longer play their game. You define it. You are no longer the one who bends. You are the one who rules. Write this final affirmation in the comments. Nothing can break me.